Hello, friends. It's very nice to see you again. Welcome to the Game Changer, ladies and gentlemen. That is the first and the only time you'll probably hear me do an Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dr. Freeze ice pun. Oddly enough, somebody actually got arrested for doing that in public, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I think the guy deserved it. I'm not. I'm one of those people that does believe in innocent until proven guilty. But it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this guy did some ice puns. He was trying to be fight. You know what? When it's as cold it is up here as we've had the last couple of days, you deserve to be in a prison cell. I'm sorry, but no, absolutely not. No, I am the Dr. Freeze, Mr. Nate the effing great, and I'm being joined here by, I guess we can call her the Elsa of the show, that being the lovely VictoriBelle. How's it going?
Yeah, the cold never bothered me anyway. So
that is a lie. That is a lie from the conversations we've had before the show.
We're stuck in our houses. We can't do anything.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, as I mentioned on the previous podcast that I posted earlier, I mentioned the fact that the last few days we've had to deal with icy cold, wind chills, temperatures. It is just an absolute mess up here. You know it's bad when Antarctica looks at their weather and they're just like, oh, wow, this is actually still pretty cold. And then they look at, oh, what's going on in the Midwest? Yeah, we're down to almost negative 55. And they're like, damn. Even the penguins are looking on like, wow, are you sure we're not in the wrong area? Are you sure we're not supposed to be, further north? And of course the guys in the ice caps are just like, no, we're in Antarctica. It's fine. It's just, damn. Bottom line.
Yeah, well, here in Chicago, we're always trying to break records, so...
yeah, you guys are the Windy City, so that just makes it even worse for you.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure... I don't think we did break a record, so that's, I guess, sad. Like, we were, 2 degrees off or something, so... Come on. What is this? What's going on?
I'm sure that a lot of people are okay with the fact that they're not breaking records, but there's probably that one person out there. It's like, no, we need to be 2 degrees colder, and that's probably the guy who did the ice puns. Enjoy getting arrested. Now he's in jail for that. Anyway, all right, so we're going to try and heat things up, you guys. We're still on the road to the Oscars, actually just about a month away from the Oscars, and we're going to be talking about another movie-themed episode. We're going to be talking about some of the best quotes, some of our favorite quotes in all of cinema. But before we even get into that, we do have a little bit of news that we'd like to talk about. Obviously, this past weekend, we had the SAG Awards. Nope, it's not the HAG Awards. I did not say that wrong. The SAG Awards. SAG. The Screen Actors Guild Awards actually took place this past week. And, well, actually, it took place last week. Never mind.
Sunday, right?
Yeah, my brain's frozen just a little bit. I had to look it up again. So, we're going to be talking about some of the winners that are on here. I just found out one winner that I am absolutely ecstatic that they won. A couple of winners we were kind of just like, well, that was kind of, expected. A couple we will probably be like, wow, not at all expected at all. So let's just first we'll get the TV one right out of the way because that there's only one that I could think of that that I'm looking at and I'm just thinking, yeah, that's probably worth talking about. For me, it was outstanding performance by a stunt ensemble in a television series that went to the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. It went to Glow. I am so happy right now because honestly, it was a really good season this past year. They talked a lot about making characters work. They're doing a lot of storylines. They're trying to develop things. The relationships got more interesting. It's a really good series. Definitely watch it if you haven't gotten the chance to. And honestly, they're going into season 3, which they're going to be doing their shows in Las Vegas. So you can only imagine what that's going to be like, especially considering that for those of you that are fans of AEW, All Elite Wrestling, they're going to be also doing a show in May called Double or Nothing, so definitely go check that out when it comes up. Honestly, I see tickets going like that, like it did for All In Chicago. But it's going to be a can't miss event either way. But yeah, Glow got the win for that. I'm happy about it. We can kind of move on to the film ones. So we'll start with the outstanding performance by a male actor in a leading role. The winner of that went to Rami Malek. Bohemian Rhapsody as Freddie Mercury. Well deserved. Like we've said before, he's definitely going to have a major presence in the Oscar picture, and so far he's still getting a lot of recognition for that performance. He plays that role to a T, does a fantastic job of it. If you haven't gone and seen Bohemian Rhapsody, definitely go watch it. Pause this episode, go see it, come back, apologize, and then you can hear more about what we have to talk about Bohemian Rhapsody. For those of you that are still with us right now, yes, Bohemian Rhapsody was awesome.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I've been asked by a lot of people why that's nominated. And then I ask them, have you seen it? And they go, no. And then I go, what? Like, go watch it. Like, I don't know. You can't ask, like, I don't understand why that would even be nominated. Like, shut your mouth and go listen to some Queen.
Queen is an influential band. It has been for many decades. And honestly, this was just one of those movies that was the ultimate payoff. It was one of those movies that everybody loved. I haven't really seen too many people criticizing it. I haven't seen too many people saying that it was, inaccurate. They tried, spot for spot to make it as accurate as they could. I applaud them for that. And you also have to watch the side-by-side deal where they have their final big concert together, and how just right down to the detail they try so hard to make it so that it's exactly like that concert. It is just phenomenal. Holy cow. Just love it. Absolutely love it. We'll get into females in just a minute. But the supporting role for a male actor for outstanding performance was Mahershala Ali for Green Book. I'll be getting a chance to see that later on this week. That way I can kind of see what, everybody's getting, hyped about with this movie. And also maybe it's going to influence my decision for changing my Best Picture, decision as we get closer to the Oscars. Probably not, but it's worth a shot. We'll see what happens.
You never know. I told you I'm attempting, it's our duty to watch all these movies, all the movies that are nominated for Best Picture. It's up there. I'm going to watch it, and then we'll have educated guesses for the Oscars. And this award show, obviously, as you're going through it, we've talked about all the award shows so far. I don't know if there's another one before the Oscars that are like movie and TV influenced, but I don't think there is. So this kind of gives me and Nate a little tease of what to maybe expect in the Oscars. So that's why we keep talking about that.
Yep, definitely. Honestly, I will tell you guys this, that at a lot of the Marcus Theaters, they're doing film festivals. Basically what they're doing is they're having 4 movies playing consecutively, and they're all the Best Picture awards. So if you haven't gotten a chance to go see them, definitely within the next couple of weeks, go check these out. They're really great deals. A lot of these movies are absolutely fantastic. I just know that I was lucky enough that our theater here is showing the Green Book just by itself, so I don't have to worry about going to see all those other movies and pay for all that extra stuff. But if it was one of those situations, I would have just said, you know what, it's a donation to the theater. They deserve it. They do a great job. Not that I'm being biased or anything. It's not like I work there or anything. Anyway. But who knows? We'll have to even look at the theater down in Chicago. Maybe it has that same deal going on, and maybe that's going to have to game changer deal where we'll just go watch those movies the day before the Oscars. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a fresh idea. Who knows? But we'll keep an eye out for that. So, all right, let's get into the female performances. Outstanding performance by a female actor in a leading role. Glenn Close from The Wife got the victory here. This is the second time we've seen Glenn Close get a win here, which could probably worry me just a little bit because I'm very biased, but I really liked Lady Gaga's performance in A Star Is Born. I liked it. I thought it was awesome. I'm hoping she gets the victory at the Oscars, because so far they're giving a lot of them to Glenn Close. I'm hoping that's not the case at the Oscars. Glenn, love your work. Loved you as Cruella, but I just still think that somebody else deserves it. I'm sorry. I might be biased here, but that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, she won for The Wife, right? Isn't that the movie? Yeah, it's funny. I think people want to go see that with me, and for some reason, I don't want to see it. I don't know why. That's weird to me. I'm just like, eh. But, I mean, she keeps pulling out these awards, and I mean, obviously, I totally respect anyone who gives a Oscar-nominated performance, so I should just go.
Should just go see it, but at the same time, you just never know. It might be one of those things where it's like, or it might be a little too overhyped.
Right, but I might go see it. We'll see.
Yeah, who knows?
It's not a best picture, so I don't have to see it.
This is very true. This is very true. So we're into outstanding performance by a female actor in a supporting role. This actually surprised me, and honestly, I'm also very happy for it. Emily Blunt won it for A Quiet Place, and I will say this, that I've seen the video of her basically just talking about her husband and talking about how he's an inspiration, and just seeing just seeing, Jim from The Office just out there. I know his name is John. I'm sorry, but a lot of people remember him as Jim. I'm not gonna lie, or they might remember him as what is it, like? I think Jack Reacher. I forget which TV series he's on right
Jack
now.
Reacher.
Thank you.
Or Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan. I'm sorry. Ryan.
It's one of the Jacks. Either way.
Yeah, it's Jack Ryan. It's that Prime series. A lot of people love that.
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, it was one of those things where it's like, oh, hey, Quiet Place actually got some recognition. Thank you very much. Thank you, SAG Awards. I might just have to watch you next year. Probably not, but we'll see.
Yeah, SAG Awards is definitely a different feel than the Oscars. So the fan was freaking phenomenal. But I didn't get to watch them, but I did hear about a lot of it, and you're just kind of like, of course actors would choose that. Like, because it is, actors voting for their fellow actors on this one. So I think it's cool that that she won. I mean, I saw The Quiet Place. It was a pretty cool movie. It was interesting. It was totally different. And Emily Blunt gave birth in a bathtub in it, so you're like, oh god. And it was funny. I also for some reason, I think I looked it up once, like John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, and now on my Facebook feed they always come through little cute videos of them, and they're just so freaking adorable that it's hard to ever root against them. Anything they're due, I'm just like, love you, Crunks or Crinks. I think he called him in a one video he called him the Crunks, Krasinski and Blunt together, Crunk or something. It was pretty funny. And I just think it's really, really adorable. They're adorable, so whenever they win, it's a win for love. But yeah, well deserved by her.
Oh, gotta get crunk. It's like, which crunk are we talking about? Are we talking about that phase where they were talking about it was a dance move or something like that? Or are we talking about Crunk from Emperor's New Groove, played by Patrick Warburton?
No, there's a video of them inviting people to come to dinner with them. They're like, all right, we're giving out, if you donate this, you get a chance to get a dinner with us. And the video is just them doing funny things, redoing the video over and over. He's like, just call us the Crunt. We're the Crunts. And Emily Blunt is like, no, and walks away, and he's like, what?
Oh my god.
It's just cute. It's funny. It makes you like them, and they're stupid, but I like them.
I mean, it's Jim from The Office and Emily Blunt, who honestly did a pretty good job as Mary Poppins. I'm not gonna lie.
Nice.
Yeah, but let's talk about the big thing, which was this getting not one but 2 awards for outstanding performance by a cast as well as outstanding performance by a stunt ensemble. And I will also say this, that this also defeated a couple of its fellow rivals in Ant-Man and the Wasp and Avengers Infinity War. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the one, the only Black Panther. This Wakanda Forever, indeed. Holy cow. I literally saw that. I'm like, what, really? And then I hear, oh, they got 2 awards. You're pulling my leg, right? No, they actually won. It's like, yes! This gives me a little beacon of hope that they're not just going to give for, special effects or something like that. They're going to get something good. Oh, man.
Did you say the big one yet?
The 2, which were outstanding performance by a cast and outstanding performance by a stunt ensemble. I think those were the 2.
I thought they won Best Picture on this, but
Maybe they did, and I'm just not finding it. But honestly, like I said before, just yep, super super happy with this. Again, gives us something to look forward to when we get closer and
Do you
closer.
have Best Picture for SAG Awards?
It's not showing Best Pictures. It's showing the performance deals by the men and women, and then performances by the cast as well as the stunts up. Oh, okay, I understand. Now I think it's more just basing it on the actual acting more than on the actual movie itself. I think that's what they're basing it on.
Because I thought they won the biggest award at SAG.
I can't see anything bigger than performances for stunt ensemble and by cast. Yeah,
right.
I think that's the highest honor.
The biggest award. So basically, what we would consider Best Picture, Black Panther took home.
Yes.
So, which is a huge deal, just for everybody who doesn't understand it. Like, it's a huge deal. It's like, whoa, they won it.
It's another day where it's like, I'm a happy boy. I'm a happy boy. This is awesome. Black Panther's getting recognition.
Just throwing this out there too. Obviously, we're about to be in February, which is Black History Month. I don't know if your Marcus Theater is partaking in this, but I've posted about this already. Select theaters are showing Black Panther all throughout Black History Month for free.
Wow. Honestly, I have not heard anything. Maybe that's just something that I missed, but if a lot of theaters are doing that, holy cow, I mean, that's awesome. But I mean,
it's to celebrate Black History Month and then just to, like, prep for the Oscars as well. Like, they want people to, if you haven't seen it yet, you don't have an excuse, it's going to be free, go and see it.
Right. No, I fully agree with that. That is pretty awesome. I mean, I will say this. It's probably safe for them to do this for free, mainly because of the fact that they did accumulate like $1 billion by themselves last year, next to the $2.8 billion that Avengers Infinity War got. I might be in that ballpark somewhere in there, but it was a lot of money, bottom line. So if they want to go and show them off, by all means, that's awesome. Yeah, and honestly, if it's one of those movies that's going to be absolutely celebrated in Black History Month, I support it. I'm for it. It's just an absolutely phenomenal movie. So now, people, for those of you that have not seen Black Panther, now you don't really have an excuse. Now you can go see it. And they're saying, hey, we're giving it for free. Go watch it.
Yeah, on the big screen. Are you kidding me? Do it.
Do it. Oh, wait, no, that's not my quote. That's not one of my quotes. Just get that.
Do it.
Do it. Kill him, Anakin. Do it. I think we're going to start going into, like, quotes before we even get into that. One other big thing that we wanted to cover was the fact that there was an article online, and the one I'm looking at right now is Gizmodo.com, which is showing basically the next 3 movies that are coming out for DC, including an update on the Batman situation when it concerns Ben Affleck. For those of you that are curious, rumors are true. He is not going to be a part of the Batman solo film. He is only going to be making one more appearance as Batman, and that's going to be during Suicide Squad 2, which one of the things that I told you, and I'm literally like, oh my gosh, this is kind of awesome, is that the director for the second Suicide movie is going to be directed by James Gunn. For those of you that are not too familiar with that name, you remember Guardians of the Galaxy? Remember Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Yeah, that guy. He's going to be writing Suicide Squad. So literally, it feels like, for me as a wrestling fan, it's like when somebody takes a big talent from one of the deals, like when WWE lost Hulk Hogan and WCW acquired that. That's kind of like the big deal that it had for me. Is like, we got a big star, it's coming in, he's going to be doing this, going to be working with the company, going to make it really huge, going to make it really awesome. James Gunn, same thing. He's one of those guys who definitely tries to stay true to the comics. He tries to stay true to the content and the material. So for him to basically say, yeah, you're going to write and direct Suicide Squad, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we're going to get the Suicide Squad that we wanted for a while now. And for me, even as a Marvel fan, I'm just like, ooh, this is going to be a movie that I'm actually going to watch, and I might not, resent it. Kind of interested in seeing what happens. But I want to know your thoughts. First, let's talk about firstly about Ben Affleck not being a part of the DC cinematic universe or whatever they want to call it. Your thoughts on that?
Well, that sucks. Like, it's sad that they can't have him anymore, but he's going through issues. So he's actually the reason that DC is having so many issues in their casting is the fact that Ben Affleck is almost uninsurable as an actor right now. He has been in and out of rehab for the past year or more. So it's kind of hard to shoot a movie when someone keeps having to go in and out of rehab and they're just not healthy. If they're not healthy, they really shouldn't be they shouldn't be working. This guy obviously needs to fix something about himself. Sad, but, the health comes before our entertainment. And whether it be his, I know he has, sex addictions and other addictions and alcoholism and all this, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on with him. And so I just think it might, I kind of almost blame Warner Brothers for this because I don't think it was unknown that Ben Affleck had these issues. I think they knew this, and they were like, we still want Ben Affleck. So they put the curse on themselves. I think it would be better to just cut him out of the Suicide Squad movie. I don't think we need him in there. I don't even know, I don't even know if we're having Superman still or Batman. There's just so many unknowns with DC right now. I would just rather them just cut it all out. He's a cancer, let's cut him out. We'll try to forget about him and reboot Batman again.
Yeah. No, I do agree with that. If he's going to cause that much of a trouble, if he's going to be that much of a liability, it's better just to have him, take time off, reevaluate, get everything out of his system. Then maybe if he's feeling better, maybe bring him back. But right now, if he's in that really horrible place, best thing to do is just, you got to show tough love. And if DC's got to do it, they got to do it. All right, so let's talk about this whole, James Gunn possibly directing Suicide Squad, which I will say this. Some people are saying that it's a sequel, but there's other people that are saying that it's a reboot. So regardless of whether or not it's a reboot or whether it's a sequel, your thoughts on this?
I first think it's a slap in the face to Marvel. That's funny to me. When you threw that up there, so it's not confirmed. It's just being talked about.
I think it's all but completely confirmed. It's about I think it's about 90% confirmed. James Gunn is writing and directing. That's
freaking hilarious because literally Marvel. We know he was let go. He was fired. Tweets and texts, or tweets, I think, that he did 15 years ago. Disney was like, nope, can't have that. And everybody freaked out. Everybody's still freaking out. We're not sure what Guardians of the Galaxy are going to be doing anymore. And I think the theme behind Guardians of the Galaxy being just a fun adventure team thing, if he brings any of that to Suicide Squad, his writing is just so fun. And I really like how he intertwines his stories within the soundtrack that he puts out. He did that really well with Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think if he's able to do that with Suicide Squad kind of did good with the music and all. I had a few of the soundtrack songs on my, playlists, but I think he's really going to make it a fun ride for us. Might bring back Suicide Squad, reevaluate what's going on, and it wouldn't be bad to just reboot everything. I don't think anyone would be super mad. And especially if James Gunn is the guy doing it, I think everyone will be like, all right, okay, yeah, we're done. I don't have have to remember that. I'm fine. I don't think anyone cares anymore if they have to remember or they don't have to remember. I mean, look at Spider-Man. Like, people are like, okay, we don't have, screw that guy. We don't need him. We'll take this guy. Oh, yeah, it's easy. Like, fans, if you make a good movie, fans don't really care if like, it was redone and redone and redone. I honestly believe that if it's good and by the books, they're not going to care. And James Gunn can produce that, so Disney. That was stupid. People know this. I do think what he said was like some joke about child like porn or something. Right? But again, I think that now, especially with the Kevin Hart thing and how Hollywood's kind of boycotting the Oscars for having not having the host, I think that's going to come and bite them in the butt. And I don't know what Disney's going to do, but I think it's funny. I think what a power move. Good job, Warner Brothers. You've done something right.
The powers are shifting very slowly. So, yeah, let's see what happens. And this is all going to be taking place around 2021, you guys. So it's not going to be too far away. I know it's the waiting game, but we waited this long to get, Avengers Infinity War. We waited for Endgame. I think it's going to be worth the wait. They're doing a Batman reboot. They're doing the Suicide Squad reboot, seemingly. Also, this DC Super Pets. I'm not really too familiar about this, but maybe you can shed some light about this.
like the Krypton, the dog, and stuff. I don't know exactly what all the super pets would be, but I know that Krypton, Superman's dog, quote unquote, super dog.
Oh yeah,
but that would be kind of funny. I don't necessarily think I need that in my life, but sure. The only thing that pisses me off about DC right now is that stupid DC universe, like that website or whatnot that they're trying to get us all to pay for. Like, screw you. I'm not watching anything on that. And I might cave, especially if they give you a free month. I will watch everything I want, and then I'll get a new email and do it again. but that is all I want to say about the DC universe. I don't know about you, but I haven't watched any of the new DC stuff because all of it is on their own network. And I know Disney's trying to do that too, and I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Because I already pay I have Prime, I have Hulu, I have Netflix. Can we please just stay within that realm? Like, that's 3. That's a lot. That's a lot to pay for. Yeah, and YouTube too. I have YouTube now. I don't care. But yeah, and it's like, oh my gosh. Like, I can't pay for individual platforms too. I think that's obnoxious. And I think those shows that DC are putting on that network are going to feel it. And they're not getting watched. I'm almost for sure. I don't know anyone who's seen the new Teen Titans. The one show that's really tempting me is the Young Justice is on that, and I'm like, oh, I really, really liked Young Justice on Netflix, and now it's on a new series or season is on the DC universe, and I just don't get to see it. It kind of sucks.
Yeah. I'm not really too highly tempted on that. I know that you being a DC mark, you're kind of the DC gal in this, and I'm the Marvel boy when it comes to this. For me, like you said, it's all about just having that kind of, something that captures you, something that makes you think, okay, I want to see that. I want to see that. The DC Universe deal, I haven't found anything for me that's just like, hey, come see this because we're going to have this show on, or come see this because we're going to have this character. Hey, we're going to have this going on. It's like, there's still not that first impression there. It's not appealing to me. It's not one of those things that make me say, hey, I need this. It's just kind of like, it's just another one of those things. I'll just stick to my Netflix and my Vudu and stuff like that. So, yeah. I'm not.
It's frustrating, though. DC is doing it before Disney, and it's already frustrating. So, I don't know what it's going to be like when it does to do.
And we'll just have to wait and see, you guys. who knows? The whole thing could go by swimmingly, or it could go bankrupt like MoviePass, which apparently is still around for some reason. I keep finding those MoviePass cards, still popping up here and there. I'm like, I thought these guys were done. Okay, I'm not going to ask these questions because that's for another time. So we're going to go into a little commercial break, and then after that, we're going to be talking about movie quotes, you guys. You're going to hear some of the funniest, some of the most serious, and a lot of the best stuff that comes in from all the years of cinema. So definitely tune in. We will be right back.
Check out the guys over at Eclectic Media Project. They bring you podcasts such as Musically Challenged. Whose podcast is it anyway? Want to hear something interesting? And their newest podcast, Page 3.14 News. Check them out on Podbean and iTunes at Eclectic Media Project, on their website at www.eclecticmediaproject.com. Check them out as they are the home with a little something for almost everyone.
Alright guys, welcome back to The Game Changer. Of course, you can listen to us on Spreaker.com as well as on YouTube, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, and iTunes, you guys. Alright, so let's talk about movie quotes. It's that time of the year.
Nate, real quick, sorry. I forgot to mention this.
Okay. I'm getting flashbacks to when you came back and we had that Marvel discussion.
I hope it's not going to scar you in any way. But did you hear what Bradley Cooper did this past weekend?
Is he starring in his own spin-off with Vin Diesel? Are we getting that Raccoon and Groot movie finally?
Yeah, Rocket and Groot.
Yes! Yes!
It's going to have only a few lines. The writing is the essential part. No, just for the road to the Oscars, this was kind of a cool thing that happened in Las Vegas last Saturday at the Lady Gaga concert. Bradley Cooper made a surprise appearance and came on stage and sung "Shallow" with her, and she was freaked out. You could tell this was not planned, and then she is having him sing to her while she's on her knees, looking up to him, oh. It was so cute. It just made you love them more and see that this was not just an acting gig for them. They true friendship. He's coming to support her at her concerts, and something that we were talking about, he did sing live in public. So this could maybe give us a little hint that maybe he is comfortable singing live, and maybe this will happen in the Oscars.
Oh my gosh, you give me goosebumps just thinking about it. That's just one of the things I've been asking for so long. So Bradley Cooper, dude, you're the man right now. You're the man of 2018, 2019 right now. I'm just imagining her getting ready to sing her next piece, and then she just hears this guitar riff, and she's just all confused, what's going on? And here comes Bradley Cooper out with a little microphone piece to start singing. Oh my god!
Yeah, he did have a guitar, or he did have the guitar with him, but he didn't play the guitar. He just sat on a stool and then started singing and stuff, and it was really cute. You could definitely, I would say, YouTube the video.
Believe me, I'm going to.
It was cool. It made all the fans swoon. Lady Gaga looks just totally surprised and totally proud of him. I know that we talked about this before, but he didn't even want to sing for the movie. So the fact that he now has the confidence to come out on stage at a Lady Gaga concert, meaning 100,000 people, and sing live was pretty awesome. And I think we didn't say how much they got snubbed at the SAG Awards. But we'll see. We don't know. It's kind of sad because Star is Born was definitely hyped, beyond hyped, when it came out about this is definitely going to the Oscars, blah, blah, blah. We saw it. We were totally agreed. Like, yeah, like this is an Oscar movie. We're going to keep our eyes out for this. And now seeing award season come around and they're not really giving any credit to them, it's just kind of like,
I have this feeling that I'm probably going to have some ibuprofen waiting for me just in case something where it's like, oh, they definitely deserve this award for like, best original song or, choreography or something like that. And literally they get shafted by somebody else. I'm probably going to start going into a rage mode worse than probably I did last year. So it'll only be like one of the second times that probably VictoriBelle's seen me like at my most pissed. And there will probably come a point where she's going to be like, I'm just going to leave the room for a bit, just let you get your anger out, and we'll talk in a minute. It'll just be like that concerned mom that just comes in after like 10 minutes, be like, Nate, are you done having your hissy fit? I'm just sitting there with my arms crossed like, yeah.
Fine. But no, I hope you don't get upset because I hope that they also get something. I think they deserve something.
They deserve credit. Credit where credit is due, especially when Bradley Cooper decides to just sing, even though he was uncomfortable singing. Just give the man some credit, please. The guy directed it. The guy started it. He deserves a lot of credit for it. He's not just a furry, adorable raccoon that swears and whatnot. He's a really good actor. Who has seen The Hangover? Need I say more? Sorry, maybe that was a bad example, but...
it's okay.
It happens. But all right, so now now are we good, or do we have?
Yeah, all right, go right ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. I was just, like I said, I was just having those flashbacks of me trying to defend Marvel and you correcting me in the funniest way possible. Funny for everybody else. Another scarring event for me, but whatever.
Poor Nate.
Oh gosh, hashtag poor Nate is going to be trending soon. I guarantee it. No, we're talking about famous movie quotes, a lot of our favorite movie quotes, you guys. These are some of the quotes that just really stuck out to us as just, absolutely great. They could be, funny, they can be serious, they can be just absolutely, gut-wrenching, heartbreaking, tear-jerking, or they can just make us laugh upon contact. But these are the quotes that we are talking about. So we got 10 each. And we're going to discuss why these are either our favorites, why these either stand out. It's going to be a great list. So I believe that last week I started off. So VictoriBelle, by all means, start with this list. What have you got?
All right. Well, I will start with 10 of my most inspirational lines. And like I kind of, we talked a little before, I feel like I definitely used a lot of these while having cabin fever here in Chicago because we literally leave the house. It's still negative 17 out, without wind chill. So, still inside. All we can do is watch movies and think about movies. Thank God for Netflix. So, number 10. I think one of the most influential lines, or the most influential movies that have happened are, the 007 James Bond movies. I personally haven't seen a lot of the new ones, but I did see the old ones, and I don't think I know anyone that if you came up and said, like, Belle, VictoriBelle, people would be like, oh, I know where that's from. I know what you just did there. I know, because that is the line of lines. Bond, James Bond, Sean O'Connery, and his weird accent. And then I like to pick a few, because these movies are the quotes just like pour out of these movies. Everybody can be like, oh my God, there's so many that you could say, but like another one that I think is fun to say, and I definitely am one of these people that are guilty of like, don't have money. And stuff. So it's just fun. So I chose James Bond, James Bond.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, James Bond is definitely one of those films that just stands out as well as, he's a handsome dude, and he always just finds this self-confidence, and Sean Connery's the one that kind of started it all. He's the one who just, doing the whole shaken, not stirred, or...
Yes.
The
whatever accent. I don't even know what his accent really is. Is he Scottish? What is he?
I'm not exactly sure, but every single time I think of Sean Connery, I don't think of him as the actual actor Sean Connery. I think of the guy from Saturday Night Live who does the impression with him during the Jeopardy, like where he'll just go into like sexual references, or he'll just do like this deal where he'll just make fun of Alex Trebek, played by Will Ferrell. It's so funny. Definitely go check those out, you guys. Those movies are just absolutely awesome. But yeah, honestly, that's a really good pick to start off with. We start off with the James Bond. For me, it'd be hard to do because I can't go like, great, Nate the effing great. It's like, I'm Nate, I'm great, I'm Nate the effing great. That's the way I would do it for me. Because mine's a little
people would just be like, okay. They wouldn't get the reference.
Trust me. They would just give me that eye roll of like, yeah, whatever you say, man. Just
all right, bye.
Trust me. Trying to do that at the bar, yeah, there's a lot of women that roll their eyes and just be like, hey, what's over here? A game? Great. And I'm just standing there like, well, there's a reason why I'm still single for all these years.
Then you just go to the bartender. Martini shaken, not sir, please. I failed at one.
That's my routine.
Dirty, let's make it dirty.
That's why we're redeeming quality. And then there's that one person that's like, oh, you're doing the James Bond deal. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I tried that first.
Didn't work out too well. I want to say this, that I have this calendar that my aunt gave me for Christmas where it has a bunch of movie quotes on there. So I kind of want to start off with the one that's for today. That being from Blazing Saddles, where it just says, excuse me while I whip this out. And literally I thought to myself, is that a sex joke? No, it's something else. It's Gene Wilder. It's these guys. It's something funny. It's just it's just amazing. All right, so for me, I assume for you too, this is not in any particular order. So for those of you that are curious, is this like your 10th favorite? Is this your first favorite? It's like for me.
Oh, I did an order.
Oh, you did an order?
That was my number 10. But I did that because I just do that.
Yeah. No, fair enough. For me, okay, then in my case, it's no particular order what I do this, but we'll start off with I guess my number 10, if I had to choose, would be this quote of, strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he? And that was from It's a Wonderful Life, from The Angel, where basically main character, he's gone through the whole deal of seeing what life would be without him, just seeing how things would be different. It's a Wonderful Life has definitely turned out to be one of my favorite movies, especially during the holiday seasons, because you really have one of those deals where it does make you think, like, how different life would be if I wasn't here. Like, honestly, in this case, it would be a lot different. If, Nate and VictoriBelle didn't have each other, I probably would be in some kind of low obscurity, not doing too much in the way of this podcasting deal. I think that you would probably still be going to LA somehow, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it makes you kind of question. It's like, what would it be like if we weren't even in each other's lives? And it's not one of those things where I'm trying to be like too deep, but it's just one of those things where it's like, how different would it be, if I didn't do this, or if I didn't, have this effect on this person? How different would it be? So this was kind of one of those things where I looked at it, I'm like, okay, this is actually a really good quote. I can give it to it. It's a Wonderful Life definitely deserves its credit, so.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? Yes, that is a super influential quote, and that's what these quotes, like, I chose quotes that are, like, influential in, like, the culture and stuff, and, like, some of them I chose because, like, they've actually obviously, I don't think too hard about the James Bond, but if you picked quotes that influence your daily life, that's awesome. Like, if a movie influenced you to think about that, how deep it is, and make you have some sort of purpose, like, that is art right there. So, yes, pick that and never apologize for that. That's awesome.
Definitely. Awesome. All right. So, I guess we're at our number 9s. VictoriBelle, what you got?
So, I had to do this one. I chose When Harry Met Sally. I'll have what she's having. I think that everybody uses this once in a while. Obviously, this is from the part in the diner, the restaurant, where like Sally's like, like making all these crazy sex noises, and then like they leave, and like someone at the next table is like, I'll have what she's having. It's just so comical and so well timed and so awkward that everybody loved it. And I mean, come on, everybody says this all the time. Like, I'll have what she's having. I'll have what he's having. I'll do what he's doing. Like, it's from the Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan classic When Harry Met Sally romance comedy. We love it.
Yeah, no, it's one of those quotes that I've definitely seen a lot on the list that I've seen, because I was thinking to myself, well, let's see, what are some of the other big quotes that I could think of right off the top of my head? That was one that was almost on like every single list, and I just keep thinking back.
I thought of that one, I'm just like, I have to put it on
there. And honestly, I'm sure some people are surprised, like, wow, I would have figured that, the guy in this podcast would have picked that one. No, that was one of those things where it's like, it's a funny quote, but at the same time, I think there's other quotes that would have stood out to me. So I'm not trying to critique or anything, but it's one of those things that still does stand out just because, as you mentioned, it's a very pivotal scene, something that I think a lot of people were definitely not expecting at all. And I've actually got introduced to that scene via a parody through wrestling. They just did a deal where it was not When Harry Met Sally, it was When Kurt Met Christy, because a couple of wrestlers, Kurt Angle and Christy had me. Those of you that got that reference, thank you very much. For those of you that didn't, well, definitely check that out on YouTube, and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's so funny because they reenact that scene, but instead of Harry just being like kind of quiet and watching this, it's kind of one of those things where Kurt, he just talks about like his wrestling moves. He talks about like, well, first I would do this, and then she gets all acting like she's turned on, and he's starting to get riled up too, and it's just one of those things. It's so funny just seeing them make a parody of that. And one of the funny things is that, as you mentioned before, there's that one person, for a lot of people it was Linda McMahon, who is the wife of the the wife of the CEO of the company, just literally looking on, and she just goes, I'll have what she's having. And again,
exactly. It's a humorous thing that everybody knows. Even if you've never seen that movie, you know the quote, and that's why it's influential.
All right, so for me, I'm going to bring it down just a bit. The comedy, damn it. I know, I'm that person. This is one of those things where I saw this quote, and I'm just like, yeah, this is one that I do remember the most, because it's a very influential quote, especially for action movies. See if you can actually remember this. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you. That being, of course, my man Liam Neeson from Taken. I literally saw this quote and I'm just like, okay, literally the hero here is saying, okay, you could just be a nice person, bring back my kid, and we'll be good. Otherwise, I'm going to be the dad that you is your worst nightmare. I'm going to find you, and I'm not only going to kick your ass, I'm also going to kill you. So I literally just saw this, and there's a lot of other Liam Neeson quotes I could put on here. I could do the monologue that he did during TED 2, where he's asking about the tricks, whether it's just for kids and whether he'll get followed. And Ted's just standing there like, no, that's not going to happen at all. That's not in our budget. And it's just so funny seeing that. There's quotes from A Million Ways to Die in the West. Could have probably put a quote here from Schindler's List that would have put on there. Oh gosh, if I would have done the monologue where he talks about the lives he could have saved, that would have got me. But this was the one that really stood out to me because Liam Neeson is definitely this generation's, Clint Eastwood. Think of some other action heroes here. Jackie Chan. You could go through like a long list of these action heroes. Bruce Lee. So many of these people are going to be involved, and Liam Neeson is definitely one of those people that deserves to be on that list. Taking out a lot of people, and this was just one of those moments where we see him being like, yeah, shit's about to get real.
Oh yeah, no, that is, I think most people know if they hear that tone, like, oh my god, he's going to kill us all. And that is one of the most most memorable lines in that movie, and probably one of the most memorable lines in the 21st century so far is the Taken. I mean, that movie, most people, even if you haven't seen it, you know when Liam Neeson is on that phone and makes that initial phone call and tells the guy, like, this is what he's going to do. I have a special set of skills. I do not have money, but I have a special set of skills. I will find you. And then the guy's like, good luck. Like, everybody knows. Beep. And, like, I mean, it's over and over, and I just love it. Great choice.
Ah, man. It still kind of gives me goosebumps because the way Liam Neeson delivers it just makes it absolutely perfect.
Oh, yeah. Yes. He's amazing. I love Liam Neeson. We all love Liam Neeson, let's be real.
Liam Neeson is the dad that we all want and that will always have our back no matter what. He is this generation's Chuck Norris.
We love you, Liam. We just start crying.
All right, so balls in your court, VictoriBelle. Next quote.
Perfect. So, number 8. So this is I definitely said this a lot, probably annoyingly this week, because like I told you before, I really haven't been able to leave the house, kind of getting a little bit of cabin fever. I'm like, here's Tori! Here's Tori! Like, I'll like pop in on my roomies. Here's Tori! And they're like, get out of here! Like, who are you? Like, yes, I need to go out. I need to have human contact. I'm getting crazy. I might kill everybody. But obviously, I think everybody knows what movie this is. The Shining, Jack Nicholson, you know, it says, here's Johnny when he's coming into the bathroom with the axe. I did look like you did up these quotes and make sure that I'm getting them correct. And a fun fact I found out about this quote is that this line was completely improvised. Jack Nicholson was only prompted to break down the door, but then he decided to improvise the line and just like pop through his head, which is really creepy that he just was like, yeah, but that's him being in character. And so the fact that that wasn't even a line in the script, but it is one of the most impressionable lines I think in that movie, I think it's just really cool that an actor improvised a line that is just remembered throughout the ages.
No, definitely. I even remember when they kind of did a scene from The Shining during Ready Player One, and the fact that that movie was still that much of a big influence during that movie that they decided, okay, well, we're trying to find these keys to find the big fortune. We gotta go through the movie in The Shining. I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be really good. Now, unfortunately, they didn't have the whole, Jack Nicholson popping out saying, here's Johnny, because I'm sure that probably would have cost him a little bit just to get that, but...
Maybe.
But I think it would have been worth it, though. I think it would have been worth it just to have that deal. Maybe even have Jack Nicholson make that cameo deal where he just does it. That would have just been funny. But yeah, any horror movie that a lot of people could look at, they're just waiting for that moment where somebody just, does the whole deal where they're breaking on the door or they're making a hole in it and they're just going to be, popping their head out and stuff like that. That has been one of the mainstays in so many horror movie films that people are kind of expecting that, but they're also kind of thinking, does it match the character? Does it work? Does it make sense to do that? Sometimes it works out, and then there's other times where it's just like, okay, they're just doing that for the nostalgia deal. It all depends on how they do it, but it's still one of those things where it's creepy enough to where it's like, you could do that with certain movies, and it'll be like, okay, that's a flashback to The Shining, but it works. Jack Nicholson, you creepy bastard, you created this. I hope you're proud.
You creepy bastard. Yes, no, totally agreed. Love it.
Well, come on.
Most of these, what's kind of cool is most of these lines we've said so far are actually not just influential lines, but are influential actors too. And that we might have a correlation there.
Yeah.
That you really don't get a line from somebody who's like, we don't really like him, or he's a nobody. Like, all these people are famous for a reason, and they're remembered by what they've said. No,
I definitely do agree with you there. But yeah, if anybody thinks that, I'm a little harsh on Jack Nicholson for calling him creepy. It's like, have you seen the gif of him just doing like a deal where he's just sitting there, he's doing a creepy smile and he's nodding his head? It's that scene from Anger Management where he's basically telling Adam Sandler, yes, go for it. Can you blame me, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sorry, but can you really blame me?
No, he's made his living on being creepy. So that's him. That's what he wants. Okay. He has a creepy face.
All right, so, geez, I feel like I'm just like that guy that's just going from like one setting to another. So if we're going from creepy to kind of another bit of an inspirational one, but also a very kind one, which is ironically in this quote, that being, you is kind, you is strong, you is important, from The Help. Honestly, I wish that they got a lot more notoriety and more recognition than they did, but this was one of those quotes that just stands out, even to modern days, because it feels like there's just this hidden message here for everybody, for anybody that struggles with depression, or they struggle with finances, they struggle with this. It's just one of those things where it's kind of like a reminder of who you are, of what you can take, and the fact of that final line of you is important. Just having... oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the actress. Please help me out. Who's the actress? Viola Davis. There we go.
Nice.
She says this to this little girl, and she's almost like a second mom to her. It's just one of those things that you listen to it, and it's just such a hard hitting scene where she just keeps saying that those three phrases to this little girl, and in the end, she says it, and it's like, okay, this is sticking out. She's doing her job. She's, being there for this kid, even when she has to go, she says it, and it's just so well done. So definitely one of those phrases, and definitely one of those quotes that sticks out, just because it's a constant reminder that, for those that think that they are inferior, just remember these three phrases, and you will know that you are indeed important in this world.
Aww,
I got a little deep there, but something that just happens.
Yeah, no, totally agree. We've definitely quoted that multiple times throughout our podcast, throughout episodes. So I would have to say, good choice.
It's an important line. It's a game-changing line, you might say. But
yes,
maybe that's just me patting my own back. I'm sorry. That's me being dumb. Anyway, so VictoriBelle, what do you got next?
All right, so this might surprise some people, but I am sometimes a little bit of a sap.
No.
Yeah, yes. So I know this is coming from a Harry Potter movie / book. So I'm gonna say that it is kind of famouser. Is that a word? No. It's more famous now because of the movies.
There you go.
But I think that it is as influential, that this quote is super influential because it was written by an amazing author. So that's what I want to just throw out there before I say that.
You're a wizard,
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. If you don't know what I'm going to say, then you.
If you don't know, now you know. Man, technology just really loves us today. Even in the cold weather, ladies and gentlemen, it just seems to really work with it. Oh, here we go.
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah. Is the phrase, if you don't know, now you know?
No. No. Definitely not. So it's after all this time, and then the character goes, always. And that is Dumbledore and Snape talking. So, I forget, oh my gosh, I am so bad that I forget the actor's name. What's Snape's actor's name? Do you know?
You're asking.
He's dead.
I was about to say, you're asking.
Wrong guy, yeah. Okay, well, I will get that for you because I should know this. But yeah, so the quote is always, and if you see always, it's basically about how Snape, the, professor that's always been, kind of mean and harsh to Harry throughout the whole book and everything, You really see a lot of his backstory in this, how he's been bullied and nobody liked him and all that, but he's always been on the side of good. Uh-oh, spoiler alert. Basically they're talking about Lily Potter, Harry Potter's mom. Professor Snape loved her from the day he met her. And even though she was married, she had a kid with someone else, he always protected her and always loved her. So the quote is always. And it just kind of made that word so much stronger. I don't know. When I hear that word now, I'm like, whoa. And like everybody else is like, what? Like always? Like when you hear it and feel it and you get it from that book, that basically is forever, but it's just a very casual way of saying forever, always. Like, and you're like, and it just is about how he continuously loved that woman until the day he died, and that is why he protected Harry Potter throughout the whole story. So I just wanted to, I had to, and I've picked quotes that had the always in it. I've seen people with the always tattoo. I have friends with the always tattoo because they're Harry Potter fanatics, and I just think that it's a very lovely thing to say and do, and to see the character growth in that. So I liked it.
Yeah, honestly, the way that you described it, that word now always is definitely going to stick out. And it's kind of one of those things now I'm keeping in the memory bank. It's like, okay, if I'm going to say always to her, just make sure it's meaningful. Don't make it just one of those things where it's like, oh, always, always, always. Because then it's just going to get annoying and you'll just be like, I know why you're doing this. It's like, what?
Yes, but no, I think it was influential to me, and that was one of my deeper quotes. I'm like, it changed my way I see a word. So I think that's cool. And I think a lot of people, if they are fans of Harry Potter or know anything about Harry Potter, if you see someone put an always or something, like, oh, and start tearing up.
Man, it must be just like an emotional journey, an emotional road, if you will. Road.
Well, yeah, that was one of the probably biggest reveals in the Harry Potter world, was that Professor Snape always was caring for Harry. You thought he was the bad guy, but he wasn't.
Right. Like I said, being on an emotional road. Roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Yes, the next quote that I have, you guys, is from Back to the Future. Technically, you could also say Back to the Future Part 2. Is the one from Doc Brown, where he basically talks about how the future is going to be just absolutely wonderful, and it's going to have no roads. It's going to be definitely one of those things that a lot of people are going to look at and just be like, wow, this is what the future is going to be like. And then, of course, one Jimmy Kimmel parody later, we realize, wow, we really did not make any effort to make the future better for us, did we? It's like, no, we didn't. It's like, do we have hover cars? No, hoverboards. We call them hoverboards, but they're not really hoverboards. Do we have anything good? It's like, well, I mean, the Cubs are in the playoffs. They're gonna win the World Series. It's kind of one of those things. But yeah, this was just one of those movies that series, I should say. There's one of the trilogies that really stood out to me as just absolutely phenomenal. And because of this line, it is one of those things where it's like, hey, the future's the limits. And I really wish I would have done the I think it was that final quote that Doc Brown had in the third one, where he talks about how, you can make the future wherever you want it to be, so make it a good one to both of you. But it was just that line of just, hey, this is what the future is going to be like, where it's just eye-opening, where it's like, oh man, this will be awesome. It's just one of those quotes that, again, stands out because, again, people do parodies of it, people do make fun of it, but it's one of those deals that stands out because it's a very influential movie. It's like, hey, we get to see what it would be like, kind of what we would think the future would be like. I'm sure there are kids that are watching, Back to the Future Part 2 and seeing this happen in 2015, and they're just like, Mommy, Daddy, how come we don't have this stuff here? And they're just like, there's a lot of reasons, kid. There's a lot of reasons why. When I was your age, I was asking that same question too. It's like, oh, we're going to have all this stuff. Now it's like, nope. We're not even close.
A lot of changes, though, happen, so who knows?
Yeah, no. I will admit that, but again, it's just the changes that we wanted from that movie were...
Right. Didn't get the time-traveling cars and the hoverboards.
Well, come on. The guy made a time machine in 1985, so what's their excuse? No, I'm kidding.
Right. Come on, now.
But yeah.
But no, great. I agree. I think Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2 are memorable, and I kind of am picking movies, and those movies happen to have multiple quotes that people are like, yes, I know that movie, yes, I know that movie, yes, I know that movie. So having multiple quotes is, I think, acceptable.
Yeah. Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? It's Leaf, you moron. Act like a tree and leaf. You sound like a damn idiot when you say it wrong. All right. just that scene of just an older guy talking to his younger self, just saying like, you're an idiot for not getting this right. It's... Oh, man. I think I need to watch Back to the Future again. That was just a good trilogy. But
and
anyway,
that's why we do it.
Yes. But anyway, I'm off with the nostalgia now. So, VictoriBelle, what possibly could you have that could top the ever so elegance of Back to the Future?
So I've decided to pick the movie. It's super elegant. Fight Club.
Smooth transition. I love it. What do we got?
So I think that my favorite quote, and I think people say this for multiple things, so I love this. Fight Club was like a really cool movie to me for some reason, and I rewatch it and I'm like, oh, that's why, because it is kind of like Brad Pitt is just like, let me just be epic real quick, and you're like, sure, Brad Pitt, be epic. And he's just literally not even a person, but a guy being crazy. But yeah, so the quote is, first rule about Fight Club, you do not talk about Fight Club.
Yep.
And the second rule, you do not talk about Fight Club. And, it's just hilarious. It's good. And it's just like I can't imagine anyone else being just so epic and like stoic than Brad Pitt in this movie. He's just amazing in this movie, and this is probably one of those movies that you just like are like, oh, he's so cool. He's so cool. And that's how that's how the counterpart Edward. I forget the other actors. Edward Norton, right? Ed Norton, yeah.
That sounds right.
That's how his character felt the whole time. Is like he wants to be this guy. He wants to be that cool, and he's psychotic, and that is him too. But it's cool. And another, just like a quote that I think is another memorable quote from Fight Club. I don't remember it as in like speaking it all the time, but it's kind of what you get out of the movie is like, it's only when you lost everything are you free to do anything. So it's basically like you have to let everything go in order to obtain anything. And it's just a really, like that to me was like the hardcore message, and it's really hard for me to do that. And, fun fact, that reminds me of a Belle quote. And I was like, oh my gosh, Belle and Fight Club are the same thing. And the Belle quote is, it's not until you lose everything that you can truly appreciate anything, or appreciate anything. So it's almost the same quote, just a little more cutesy than hardcore. I'm going to punch your face off and make soap out of body fat. Like, gross. Okay, cool. Brad Pitt. You are a badass.
Oh man, I think the main quote I remember from that was I think there was a Fight Club where he just says, "I want you to punch me as hard as you can," and just that moment where Edward Norton actually just punches Brad Pitt, just where he's just like, "Oh, so," just seeing that, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my gosh, Brad Pitt had some amazing moments, and that was one of them.
Yes, for sure. And, at the end, it's really funny that you see that he's just punching himself in the face. You're like, okay, dude. Love it.
We,
But go ahead, what's your number 6?
I was going to say, are we going back to the crazy episode where we just now mentioned Brad Pitt on the list?
Oh, no, not Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt was a figment of Edward Norton's imagination.
Oh, okay.
So you see Edward Norton punching himself in the face, and that's why everybody followed him. They're like, oh my god.
Fair enough.
He's talking to himself, and he's punching himself in the face. This is Fight Club! Like,
oh my god. That's awesome. So I'm going to go into a classic movie, because this was one of those things that, I enjoy. It comes from another trilogy. Love it. And let me just say, R.I.P. Pat Moreno. Wax on, wax off. It's just one of those quotes where it still sticks out to so many people because of the fact that there's more to it than just those two words. It's more than just, applying wax and then taking it off. It's more than just that. We find out later he's actually saying, hey, I'm basically teaching you karate. Yeah, it's doing chores, but you're doing karate. You're learning how to build up muscles. And it's just, God, I loved the trilogy, and I loved all these deals where he's just basically saying, oh, all these simple things, yeah, they can be taught to be made into anything. And then there's some points where he could just be absolutely funny. Just like where, who's that? Ralph Macchio, who, fun fact, is going to be at C2E2. Yeah, I know. I'm literally going to be so starstruck by that. Where basically Ralph Macchio's character is just asking, hey, how do I sweep? And Pat just comes out with the broom. He's just like, you hold broom like this, and then you just go like this. And I mean, he's getting all worked up. He's getting all mad, like, haha, make fun of me, blah, blah. It's just one of those things like, God, it all started with just him saying wax on, wax off. Or if people want to be technical, I think he really captured so many people when he just was there in a maintenance maintenance shed, just saying, oh, I fix bike. You fix it after? After what? After. just all these simple things that he says just stands out to you. But the one that a lot of people remember most is, of course, wax on, wax off. And you could even make the case, sand the floor. But paint defense. Just love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's funny, too, just because I think that did the domino effect of making that hilarious, montage of how, learning to do something without doing anything. The whole dodgeball scene, where, he's like, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, and doing all this is literally a throwback to the Karate Kid of him doing obnoxious things to learn another thing. So, yeah, that is the movie that really made that a popular thing, and I think comedies have just taken that and ran with it, and there's so many instances that you can be like, why are we doing this? And they're like, oh, no, I just needed you to do my chores. And then the guy's like, what? Even though, obviously the Karate Kid, he had a purpose, but they like to take advantage of the purpose.
Yeah, this is true. All right, so we are on to our top 5. So, is it all right with you, VictoriBelle? Is it all right if I take the lead on this one?
Go right ahead. All
right. One statement that I need to make. I mean, unfortunately, it's not going to really work out in this situation, but you're going to need a bigger boat. And of course, everybody remembers that from Jaws. A lot of people remember the famous shark movie, probably the best shark movie of all time. Literally talking about a killer shark going after people. Finally, an officer decides to do something about it, and it's him, a researcher, and just this crazy guy by the name of Quint, just decide, hey, we're going to go hunt the shark. And of course, as soon as they find out how big the shark is, Chief Brody just goes, you're going to need a bigger boat. We see how big that sucker is, and it's like, oh, good Lord Almighty, that is a big fish. Just seeing them even just mention it. It's just an absolutely fantastic movie. And just that quote there probably sums up the entire movie, as well as how big the shark was. Just him just saying, yeah, we need one of those marine boats or one of those battleship boats just to combat this thing. Just give us something more.
No, yeah. I mean, you said we're going to need a bigger boat, and I was like, Jaws. Jaws, I got that one trivia. But no, yeah, an epic line from an epic movie. So good job, yes.
Still to this day, some people are not quite really comfortable going swimming in the ocean. Understandably so.
Because of Jaws, yeah.
The main reason. There's a lot of other reasons why, but that's only because somehow there's some random animals that decide, hey, we're just going to pop up out of nowhere. It's like, oh, joy. All right. What is your number 5?
All right. My number 5 is from the Terminator series. I'm saying series just because it's from the Terminator and Terminator 2. But the reason why we have these is because there wasn't number 2. Because I'm going to now try my Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. You probably did a lot better than what I'm about to do.
Oh, well.
I'll be back. And hasta la vista, baby.
Get in
the chopper. Get down. Get in the chopper. So that's me being the Terminator quotes. I think everybody knows that I'll be back and my hasta la vista, baby is probably the favorites. But this kind of made Arnold Schwarzenegger the icon that he is. Whether you hate him, you love him. I think he's an amazing action hero, amazing action star who has an accent that people cannot forget, and it's too funny. And then, of course, I have a little fun fact that, we're saying how much these words influenced us, and I think it's a fun fact to know that Schwarzenegger only had a total of 58 words in the first Terminator movie. And that is unheard of for the star of the movie, because he just never talked. You just saw him, coming after them all the
time. Right. I was gonna say that I think you had the second one almost too perfect, but then you kind of turned it into little Sean Connery, where it's like hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I tried. Can you do it?
Hasta la vista, baby.
That's better. That's way better than mine. But yes,
I think during the Oscars, we're just going to do random lines doing Sean Connery, just be like, "Frankly, this is not very, very well done. The game is afoot. This did not need to deserve the victory."
We should. You know what? We should have punishments that we have to speak in a certain accent. Instead of shots, we have to speak in a certain accent the rest of the time, and it's just going to be humiliating because I'm going to suck.
We'll definitely talk about that more when we get to the Oscars. So definitely tune into that because I think that's a great idea, actually.
Yes, it sounds hilarious. We could take the shots too because that'll help the accents. That'll help me want to do them, but then I think everyone will know that. I think I always fall into this weird Spanish-Russian combo.
I'll just get to the point where I get too drunk and I just start doing Christian Bale, Batman, every single quote. Be
just whispering the whole time. I have a raspy voice. My throat hurts.
Alfred, what's going on?
That's pretty good. That's really good. Funny.
I think we're at number 4 now. Yeah, listen to humiliation.
Right, get back to the quotes.
Yes.
Back to the quotes.
All right, so you did mention a Disney quote earlier, so I think it's only fair that we do probably the most famous Disney quote of all time, honestly, and it starts with the first full-length Disney animated movie, that being from Snow White. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all? I mean, it's another one of those deals where it's just absolutely influential, and everybody, even if they're not even in they're not even if they're not doing an acting deal, they will say that as a joke, or they will just say that to try and seem pretty. I know that there's a couple of couples that would actually do that deal where they're talking to their loved one and they just ask, who's the fairest one of all, and they'll be like, "Oh, why you little pudding head," or something like that. I don't know. That's an over exaggeration, but you kind of get the point that I'm trying to make there. It's just one of those things where it happens. It's a nice little line, but it's also one of those lines that definitely started the Disney, I wouldn't really call it revolution. I'd say Disney, I guess the Disney saga. That might be the term that I'm looking for. But yeah, loved it. It's Snow White, and I think it's the only major Disney line that I could think of that was just okay, that stands out the most.
That's awesome. I haven't had a Disney quote yet, but I know, will.
It's crazy.
I will have one.
No, that's not true.
I was kind of thinking, I probably should have one.
You did have one when we were talking about Fight Club. You mentioned the Bell one. So,
oh, well, yeah, but that wasn't my quote.
It wasn't part of your list.
I liked it because it reminded me of a quote
Yeah.
that Belle has. I don't have that as my quote.
Technicality. I get it.
Yes. We're we got to go by the technical details here.
The technical deal is that there's no such thing as technical here. It's like, it's like the first it's like the first rule of Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. Or for me, it's like, hey, when it comes to a problem, it's a two-step deal. 1, admit that you have a problem. 2, ignore step 1 altogether.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the first rule of the Game Changer is there are no rules in the Game Changer.
that is basically what it is. Number 2 is we have no idea what our rules are, so we're just making them up on the fly.
Exactly. That's every time we're talking about something, I'm like, by the way, Nate, I already broke the rules, so sorry.
We're going to be breaking the rules during the Oscars. What are you talking about? So.
We're going to go into quotes and stupid stuff, and people are not going to know what we're talking about. But great. Perfect.
You know what happens. All right, so number 4, what you got?
All right, so this had to be chosen. You chose this movie for something, I believe, last week, and I think it was part of the Oscars Best Picture or Best Song, Best Songs. And I was like, oh no, I totally overlooked this movie, and so I kind of wanted to rewatch it, and I just fell in love with it, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to have it, and it has to be high on my list. So I chose The Wizard of Oz, and I mean, choose your quote, right? Like, what quote do you want to use? So I broke all the rules and put them all in that I really loved. Obviously, I missed a few, but no place like home, no place like home, when she's clicking her shoes together. Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. When she steps out of her house and it's the yellow brick road and stuff, and all the lollipops and all the fun stuff. And then the final quote I had to throw in there because it's just great. It's, I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog too. Creepy. Love it. I'm not good at this. I'm going to try voice. I'm going to try voices for you guys, and then you're going to realize how bad I am.
Oh man, I was going to say she's basically what Jack Nicholson would aspire to be. Jack Nicholson just watched this movie, and he's just like, how can I up the creepy level on this here? Oh, I know. Here's Johnny. It's like, yep, we're going to remember that more than The Wizard of Oz. So,
I think people all know. If anyone says we're not in Kansas anymore, I think everyone's like, Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, no, I definitely do agree with you. It's the, I will also say this, that there's a lot of times where, I do take a quote from Wizard of Oz, and I use that quite frequently. Like, whenever I have a guest on, or whenever there's somebody who's, complimenting me, to the point where I'm almost, blushing or something like that. Yes, believe it or not, guys can blush, too. I usually take the line from the lion where he gets his courage, and he just goes, shucks, folks, I'm speechless. That's
great. That's great. I could see you playing the lion with the hair and stuff. That would be great.
All right, so what we have here, we have me as Yukon Cornelius and me as the lion from The Wizard of Oz.
There you are.
There's good. If I get into cosplay, I'm going to have a lot of ideas, and so many kids are probably going to be like, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
He's going to be all the cute little kid characters. I think I'm typecasting you, Nate.
It feels like it, but you know something? There may come a point where you're just like, oh, wait, okay, I did not see that coming. Okay. I mean, I was Long John Silver for one of my play productions, and a lot of people were actually surprised, like, wow, you played that role pretty well. It's like, I based on the Tim Curry, Long John Silver, so.
Okay.
Well,
okay. That's all you need to say, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, you've seen Muppet Treasure Island, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. It's not one of those things where it's just like, okay, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, but okay.
No, definitely. That's cool. I like Tim Curry. If you say Tim Curry, it's going to be a little over the top and a little bit creepy. No matter what he does, he kind of creeps. He gets a little creepy, and I like it.
Tim Curry, love you, number one actor. Anyway, gosh, so I'm down to the final 3 here. And I think let's get into one that I think we both have quotes for.
This is my number 3 too.
Oh gosh,
that's hilarious.
This will be funny. So the one I have for my number 3 is the line that's literally the definition of a game changer, coming from Empire Strikes Back. No, I am your father. James Earl Jones as Darth Vader saying that line, just basically saying to Luke, yeah, everything you know, we're just basically destroying that, and we are going to just completely blow your mind. Literally, that's what happened. And I think a lot of people definitely see Mark Hamill hamming it up with that reaction. I think it was definitely still one of those reactions that needed to happen, because what other reaction would you have? You would not be like, oh, cool. No, you'd be screaming on the inside if you try to be that cool. It's just one of those lines. Like we said, so many people are watching this, and they've gotten, the typecast of what a villain should be. Then you hear that line, and it's just like, wait, what? Wait, so he's evil, but he's also his dad. Did they just make this into a soap opera? That's kind of crazily awesome. And even, I will tell you this, that this is one of those quotes that still affects people to this day. There are people that have watched Star Wars for the first time, watch that scene, and they are in shock. Especially little kids. They're looking at that like, what? He's his father? It's like, yeah. I mean, the parents are just watching this. They're just videotaping their kids with this reaction. It's one of those things where it's just like, this is necessary, because this still shows the impact this quote has on the cinema world, because it was the first one where people probably left. They're like, okay, I know the movie was pretty awesome, but that line there just shocked me.
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely... So my number 3 is as well Star Wars, and I just put Star Wars in general, so I know you had a few other quotes.
Yeah.
And, of course, I have Luke, I am your father. And then, in general, may the Force be with you. And then, just like the always quote, I had to have the Han Solo, I know.
Harrison Ford's amazing.
It's the most conceited love confession ever, but it's just like everybody loves it. Like, she's like pouring her out. I know. I get it. You don't even need to say, which in itself sounds conceited and narcissistic, but it just showed their connection was that deep, and it was awesome and loving, and very, very sad that in the new movies they kind of made it out to be like they didn't have that special relationship, which I was sad about, but whatever. But yeah, Star Wars in general, may the Force be with you. How many times do you say that in a day? Am I right?
Oh, definitely.
Don't say it, but you said it to somebody, you're like, may the Force be with you. It's just funny, and I love it.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I probably said it at least once or twice, but another one I definitely...
Like, throughout your time, like, in my vocabulary, right. I've definitely told someone, instead of good luck, like, may the Force be with you.
I was going to say, my time, you have to realize I'm only a couple years older than you. You can't go and use that. You can't go and use that on me. I'm not that much of an old-timer.
What? I didn't say, like, my time, like, as in you.
Oh, okay. It's
in
like,
my time, I'm saying, like, in my time here.
No,
I've definitely used it.
No. Oh, I thought you said your time, as in like when you said your time, you're saying my time. Like, my time? I'm not that old. I mean,
no, I didn't mean it like that.
Okay, I'm just being over exaggerating. Okay then. Yeah, another one that I would have from the Star Wars deal is that line from The Force Awakens where Han Solo, Chewie, they're on the Millennium Falcon, and Solo has that line of, Chewie, we're home. Just one of those things where it's like, yes, it's a good line because he's back. Solo is back, baby. It's awesome. Love it. Just love it, love it, love it. Just, it's nostalgia. What can I say?
And then he dies.
Yeah, I saw that 3 times with 3 different groups, and all 3 times I literally broke out to crying. Like, no, not Solo, no. Damn it. Oh, why must everything I love die?
Oh, so sad.
I think that was actually literally a quote I had after watching it for the 3rd time. I just was like, no! Just fall down to my knees, just start crying. People are just like, okay. But then they're secretly going to their cars, just breaking out in tears. Alright, so speaking of an emotional breakdown, sort of, kind of, not really. This was a line that recently came up from Spider-Man Homecoming that I really enjoyed it. It's still one of my favorite quotes. Not quite my all-time favorite quote, but it's one of those that sticks out. It's the scene where Tony Stark and Spider-Man, Peter Parker, are having conversation about, how Peter is being a bit reckless, that he's not, Peter makes this confession that, he wants to be just like Tony, and Tony just says, yeah, and I wanted you to be better. You know what? This is working out. Give me the suit. And Spider-Man says, I'm nothing without the suit. And then Tony has the line of, if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it. And that's, of course... Shut up. just that line in particular of him saying that, yes, it is kind of a burn, but it's also one of those things where it does come back to really stand out with Peter when he's taken on the Vulture, where he literally is thinking, you are saying you're nothing without the suit, you don't deserve to have it. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't deserve to have the suit, then what are you? You have to be more than just the suit. And that's what gives him the motivation to save the day. Like I said, Spider-Man Homecoming, still one of my favorite movies, and this was one of my all-time favorite quotes of Tony Stark saying that, because it's like, yeah, you have this thing that's making you better, but if you're saying that this is the only reason why you're this person, that you shouldn't have it at all. That there's more to life than just the suit. There's more to life than just, what you have. It's what you are that makes this work. So, I love it. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great choice. I love that. That's why, he's like, then I want it back. And that's why I was like, oh snap, he just took your suit. But no, that's a great quote. It's kind of, I feel like they tried to replace, like, the usual quotes from Uncle Ben with Tony Stark trying to be the here's responsibility quotes. And they did a pretty good job. I do like Uncle Ben's a little better, but I will succeed and say yes, that was good.
It's a good number two. It's a good number two.
It is, and that was your number two. So good job.
There we go.
So my number two, like I said, I was going to have one Disney quote, and I think that this is a little out of the blue for me because I don't really talk about this movie often unless I'm making fun of the fact they're making a live version of it because it's not live; it's CGI'd. But I recently rewatched The Lion King, and I had to add this quote because I watched it over the Christmas break. It was on TV, and I recorded it, so I'm like, oh cool, I'll watch it. I haven't watched it in a while because I don't have it on DVD. I have it on VHS, and I think everybody knows I don't have a VHS player. I don't know who still does, so I can't watch it. It's not that big of a movie for me to buy it again. I should, now that I've rewatched it. But the quote is from, the wise old ape Rafiki. He says, oh yes, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it.
Oh,
and it's literally when he's like Simba's wondering if he should go back and help out or if he should stay with Timon and Pumbaa, and Rafiki comes up, and he's literally like making fun of Simba, and he's like, okay, stop it, dude. And he smacks him in the head with his cane, and he's like, ow, that hurt. And then he talks again, and then he goes to smack him again the exact same way, and he dodged it. And then he goes, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run or learn. And he learned, and he dodged it. So it was just something that I'm like, I was watching it, I paused it, and I was like, huh, that's deep, Rafiki. That is deep. And I enjoyed that. And so, I think it's really cool. I definitely think it's deeper than people think, and I think that Disney in general is, and that's why it's kind of fun to rewatch those old classics, and you get different things from them. And every time I rewatch these old Disney movies, I'm like, I didn't know that before, and now I do, and I respect this movie even more. So I wanted to add The Lion King as my number two because of the old wise Rafiki. Yeah, and there's a lot more. We know there's a ton of The Lion King, but
I do agree, but that one does seem to stand out the most, and I think that's the one scene in Lion King that I probably watched more than anything else, because it happens after this big deal where we see, Mufasa coming in the clouds, and he's doing this majestic deal where he's talking about hey, you need to go back and, man up, be a king. And then we get this whole deal where, Rafiki accomplished two things. One, it just made me think about the fact that, oh, hey, Matthew Broderick probably got hit in the studio. That's just my own little fantasy, but whatever. But it's also one of those scenes where, like you said, it teaches a very deep lesson where,
in such a simplistic way. Like, I hit you in the head, ow. You remember it hurt. Learn from it, don't get hit in the head again.
I just remember that he just made it seem like so quickly where it just hits him in the head and he's just like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's in the past. Whatever, dude.
Yes, exactly. It's in the past. Who cares?
Who cares if you got a concussion? I don't care, personally. And then he ended up getting his stick thrown, which, poor Rafiki. He didn't deserve that. He was just trying to teach a lesson. Don't take it out of his stick.
Yes, he's the goofy old witch doctor guy. And, those characters, we've had two already, with Mr. Miyagi, with the wax on. These old wise beings are very good to us, in quotes.
Definitely.
In quote land.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I do want to do one quick honorable mention before we get into number one, because this one I kept seeing as the number one on so many lists. It's not my number one per se, but I understand why.
Cool. I'll do one for mine, too.
Okay, it's the quote, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. It's just one of those quotes that stands out in so much of cinema, and it is probably one of the most powerful, quotes of all time. Because literally you're just seeing this guy basically say, Scarlett is just talking about, where will I go? What will I do? And the guy's just like, I don't care. Whatever. I mean, I kind of think I need to watch the movie in its entirety to get the full message behind it, but it does seem like one of those things where if I watch it, I kind of see that, okay, he's seeing where his life is, and he seems like he's stuck here, and maybe he wants to move on from that. So he wants to get away from, ironically enough, he wants to get away from his past, and I guess Miss Scarlett was part of that past. So that might be what it was. I'm sure somebody will correct me on it. By all means, do. That is going to be on my watch list for this year, is Gone with the Wind, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, Gone with the Wind. I actually haven't seen that either. So I do know that quote, though.
Yeah.
But which is why it's so epic. People know it without seeing the movie. But yeah, that kind of is a thing that I guess I should probably do.
But, it happens. All right, so what's your honorable mention?
I had two on.
Oh, you have two honorable mentions. Okay.
It's just funny. Yeah, sorry. That's what she said from The Office. The Office made that super popular. Everybody says it all the time now. I think it's hilarious, and I love it. I had to say it, especially after we had Jim already come up. I wanted to throw The Office in there. And then, just in general, I kind of teased this to you. My honorable mention is Samuel L. Jackson saying the mother effer word in any film, basically, that he's in, or any role. And so I had to, because I picked this, I had to look it up. He's said MF 171 times on screen across 29 movies so far.
Really?
That's pretty epic.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. I think he needs to trademark that word now.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's his word now. No one else can use it. So.
Just like Donald Trump wants to keep his phrase, "You're fired."
Yep, that's his. You can't tell. You can't fire anyone anymore.
No, we can't. It's just now, oh, you're relieved of your duties. It's like, duty. I'm sorry.
It's more fun now. I like being fired this way.
Because it gets talk about duty. Anyway, so getting to the number one favorite quote of mine actually is a quote that comes after a great monologue. It's from Good Will Hunting by Robin Williams. That line of, "Your move, Chief." Basically, Robin Williams goes into this entire monologue where he talks to Matt Damon about, I understand, where you're coming from and why you're saying these things to me, but it also occurs to me that you're just a kid, that you've never really had the chance to experience life. You could talk about, Michelangelo, you could be talking about this, but I'm guessing you've never been inside the Sistine Chapel, knowing what it smells like. You've never gotten the chance to, feel what love is like, to know, so much of the, torture and pain that you have to go through, but also the joy that comes with loving somebody. the line I think that stood out to me during the whole deal was that he mentioned that, you could be in, you know what it's like to be in a, in a hospital bed for hours and having the doctors basically figure out for themselves that the term visiting hours don't even apply to you. Just hearing that, and then him just, ending it with him basically talking about, I could basically say that, hey, you're basically like, Oliver Twist. But the thing is that is a different book. That's a different person. And unless you open up your book to me, then I'm never going to know who you really are. So basically with that line where he says, your move, chief, where he's basically saying, either you open up to me, you'd be honest with yourself, or you can just stay a closed book forever that nobody will ever get the chance to see the wonderful chapters that you have inside. So that was just one of those quotes where I watched the entire monologue, and I plan on actually doing a reenactment of that sometime this year because it's such a powerful monologue, and I think it's a great way to pay tribute to Robin Williams. It's just a really, really good monologue, and like I said, that line of your move, chief, where basically it's almost like a game of chess. He's basically found the way to, hit all the pieces, all the spots that, Matt Damon's going through. And now it's just like, hey, it's your move. See what's up. I guess a lot of people could throw in the line that Robin Williams had of, it's not your fault, where he keeps saying that to Matt Damon and then he just breaks down. It's a very powerful line, but for me, it is that move of your move, chief, that stands out the most.
Dang. Yeah, no. I don't really remember Good Will Hunting as well. I did see it, but I saw it a long time ago. It makes me want to rewatch that just because I'm like, yeah, that was such a good movie.
It's on my list.
Yeah, put it on the list. But no, that's a great one. I think that's awesome.
All right, Lady VictoriBelle, what is your number one favorite quote of all time?
I had to because I am guilty of doing this, and this is going to have to be one of the voices that we use, not offensively, but just because it is I think one of the most memorable movie that is quoted of all time.
My precious.
What?
My precious.
You got it.
Dang it.
No, I actually can't do that voice. So if you put that voice on there, it's going to be really bad. But do it. But yes, I was flirting with that Lord of the Rings, but definitely not number one. My number one is Forrest Gump quotes. So I think everybody knows. Life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And all of the shrimp that, the shrimp stuff that Bubba says, he's like, and I do coconut shrimp and shrimp fried shrimp and this. When he's talking about the shrimp boat, I love that part. And then just in general, Jenny. I'm just like, oh, Jenny. I have a friend named Jenny, so I feel bad for her because I definitely, whenever I'm actually just I'm like, Jenny! She's like, stop. I'm like, no, Jenny!
But Jenny.
Forrest! It's just too good, and I don't know. Obviously, this is, for the most part, Tom Hanks at his very best, and I have to just say I love Forrest Gump. One of the most epic movies of all times. One year I think I watched it 4 times, and it's not a short film.
Well.
So it's pretty obsessive, but I haven't watched it in a while, but it's one of those movies that doesn't just tell a story, but takes you on the journey through history, and it set a different bar for me of what a great movie is. So, love it, and yeah, that's why it's number one.
No, that's a really good movie. I always flirt with the idea that I think I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. I think I remember it was a YouTube video or something like that where they were talking about Forrest Gump where they just say, he's like, Jenny, and then one person just goes, I'll have to pay, and I always just combine those two phrases together, just be like, Jenny, I'll have to pay.
I'll have to pay. Yeah. It's just so great. And you know what? I'm keeping all of my quotes so I'm not going to delete what I had, just because I think that we have great voices that we're going to use now for Oscar night, and it's just going to be really fun and really bad. So hopefully not offensive.
I kind of want us to do a deal where we just we do a certain accent, but we have to say a certain quote where it's like, mixed in, maybe like what is it? Maybe Sean Connery just has that line of Darth Vader where he's like, "No, Luke, I am your father."
That would be great. I love it. We're going to make this great game, and it's going to be like pick out of the hat who you say and what quote you have to say it as. And then it's just going to be bad. Maybe the quotes will be all from the best pictures that are up.
You know what?
Keep it constant.
That would be very interesting. That would just mean that IMDb, you better watch out. We're going to be looking on your site quite frequently.
Woo!
Also, I actually do want to do a little bit of a shout out to one of our good friends, Mr. Rob Fury. First of all, it was his birthday this week. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Rob. Also, he actually has his own IMDb profile. So for those of you that want to see him on IMDb, yeah, he's got his own spot. I'm not going to put it as a link, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, wow, he's making it up in the world. Awesome. Congrats, Rob. So that means that VictoriBelle, I expect you to have your own IMDb within the next year.
I do.
Oh, you do?
Pretty sure I do. I don't update it. I don't know how it gets updated. I know I've been told they're like, oh, people look at that. And I'm like, not yet. Right. I'm like, people don't really look at it yet. When you are in something big, I feel like they look at it. But I do think it's a cool thing that he has a new credit on his IMDb, and I know he was really excited about that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that is going to wrap it up for this edition of The Game Changer. We are continuing on the road to the Oscars, which will be happening next month, you guys, and it will happen with a live reaction deal during the Oscars. So for those of you that are interested, definitely keep in check with that, because we'll be doing this either on Facebook, on YouTube. Hell, we might even do it on both. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun night. It's going to be an absolutely crazy night, and it's going to be like any other night. So from Stacey Slaughters, from the Dedersons, I don't have a character on that show. Notebook Entertainment, I think we need to change that. Maybe just have me a one-time deal. I'm just a guy who's just like, meh, and just that. Just call me Ted or something like that. We'll just call it good.
Here's Ted with the weather.
Here's Ted with the weather.
It's cold!
It's cold outside.
That's your only line. It's cold.
It's cold. It's just like, wow, Ted, you got a little bit of a cold there? Yeah. Just sounding like a complete idiot. Just be like, this is not exactly what the Dedersons are all about. It's like, yeah, but he wanted to be a part of it just for one time. So that way we can say, hey, from Stacey Slaughter, I have been Ted the Weatherman. God dang it. If they actually make that a thing, that's going to be insane. So
I like that.
So for VictoriBelle, I've been Nate the effing great. You've been listening to The Game Changer. Check us out on our Facebook fan pages. Also, give us a like, as well as give us some comments, as well as be sure to tell VictoriBelle that she's pretty with a lot of her great and fantastic cosplay stuff, because, let's face it, she does a fantastic job on that. Also, if you haven't gotten a chance, check out my top 10 favorite VictoriBelle cosplays. It is definitely a wonderful podcast. It definitely shows you how much work she puts into these deals. So for that, ladies and gentlemen, we will talk to you guys next week with another edition of The Game Changer as we are on the road to the Oscars. Bye-bye.